welcome to Classic City Blue, a podcast that takes you behind the scenes of ACCPD. I'm your host, Lieutenant Enrique Rivera. Today's special guest is Kevin Zapata and Athena Gray from our 911 Center. How y'all doing today?
Pretty good.
Glad to be here.
Good. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for taking time off your busy schedule. Now we're going to start a little different, okay? We're going to listen to this 911 call, okay? And we're going to analyze it. I want you to get firsthand feedback of what y'all think about it. Okay. Y'all ready?
All right.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Athens-Clarke County 911.
Hey, I need someone at... Yes.
Okay, what's going on?
My husband is pointing his gun at me.
Okay, he pointed his gun at you?
Yes.
Okay, how long did this happen?
Like 5 minutes ago.
What is your name? Or what's your date of birth? Okay, and what did he do with the gun?
Just pointing it at me and I ran.
Okay, what's his name? And what's his date of birth?
Now, my first question. This person is obviously upset. How do y'all keep your composure? Because your dispatcher's doing a wonderful job. I mean, she's cool, calm, collective. I would have been all over the place. Okay? How is it? Is it training? Do y'all read a script? How do y'all get through that?
It's definitely training. We're taught to handle high stressful situations, but to keep calm during so. Because if we're excited, then they're going to be excited. We have to be that calm for the other person.
And just like the officers as well, you know, the officers are trained, especially after repetition, going from call to call to calls. You learn to kind of bring your composure down a little bit. And so because, like Athena was saying, when you're calm and collected, you could bring them down to that state as well, where they're able to answer your questions, and then we can get a lot more information out of the caller.
Now, this is a very dangerous call, right?
Correct.
Because if you couldn't hear, she's saying that husband pointed a gun at her, right? So, in your mind, are you already thinking an escape plan for her? What's going through your mind if you're taking this call?
Yeah, absolutely. Safety is definitely the most important thing. We want to make sure she's safe. Obviously, you can hear the child in the background crying, so she has children with her as well. So we definitely want to make sure they're safe first. We normally give them instructions to try to separate from that person, but later on you'll hear that she says that they're already separated.
We want to know where the person or the aggravator is, where the weapons are. So if she's already separated from the other person, then she's already kind of safe. But we want to also increase that distance, right? So if they're in the same room, the likelihood of her calling would be a lot less, right? When that person is calling 911, the agitator normally would either toss the phone away or make them stop or make them disconnect or, you know, something else. She was able to safely place that phone call away from that person. She's already created that distance. We're going to try to create that more distance as the call progresses.
All right, let's continue to see where it goes.
Okay, is he still there?
Yes.
Okay, do you know where he is?
He's currently in the closet.
He is in the closet?
Yes.
Okay, is he white, black, or Hispanic?
He's mixed, black and white.
What color shirt? What color shirt is he wearing?
He's wearing a jacket.
What color?
An Alabama jacket.
Like the sports team Alabama?
Yes.
Okay, and what color is it?
Gray.
Now, that to me is phenomenal, right? 911 dispatchers, correct me if I'm wrong, are not post certified, correct? They don't go to the police academy.
We don't go to police academy, but we are post certified as communications officers.
So just her getting that information, that's very important to the arriving officer. What are they wearing? What color? Is it an Alabama shirt? Oh, it's an Alabama football shirt, which is a different, it could be a different design.
Right.
Those are stuff that the the officer on scene wants to know to make sure that we get the right person. So to not have a law enforcement background and be able to recognize that we need those questions is phenomenal. Now, again, like you guys said, I'm assuring that that's all training.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. How long does a person have to be in training to be then put by themselves?
Well, training normally is anywhere between 6 to 12 months.
Okay.
They start out in a classroom, just one-on-one training, going over policy, procedures, ethics, integrity, all that. Then they are paired with a communications training officer. Normally that time is anywhere between the 6 to 12 months. Most folks that come to us do not have background experience from law enforcement. Then we do have those that do come from some law enforcement. But they are definitely trained in what questions to ask to help better assist officers for finding whoever the perpetrators may be.
And as part of that training, we also send them to go do ride-alongs with police officers, with the sheriff's department, the fire department as well. So that way they kind of get that first-hand knowledge. They start building a rapport with the public safety people that they help serve and get that information for. So that way they know what the officer may need on the field as well.
Okay. Let's see where else we go with this.
All right, can you step outside just for your safety? Ma'am,
Yes.
you're doing a good job, okay? Can you step outside and walk outside for your safety? They're almost there.
No, because I have my daughter.
Okay, how old is your daughter?
She's 2.
Okay, just take your daughter and go outside if you can. Are you injured?
No.
Does anyone have any other weapons?
No.
Okay, what kind of gun was it?
I don't know.
Was it like a handgun?
Yes.
What color was it? All right. And do you know where the gun is now?
He has it.
He has it with him still?
Yes.
Anybody been drinking or doing drugs?
No.
Okay. And is your phone number?
Yes.
Just tell me when you're outside. They're pulling on your street.
I'm on the porch. My daughter doesn't have no clothes.
You're on the front porch?
Yes. It doesn't have any clothes, so I don't go outside.
Okay. Do you see the officer?
No, he needs to come straight forward.
And they're going to park a little farther down and walk up, but I want you to stay on the porch, okay?
Okay.
Do you know what he's upset about?
Look at the cat.
Do you know what he's upset about? Ma'am?
Now, that was the end of the call. Can you tell us how this call ended?
She disconnected the line.
Okay.
I guess he's looking for, if we look at the end of the CAD call and see the disposition, a lot of times we don't get the disposition. So the officer does get the disposition. He follows through with the end of the call. But as 911 dispatchers, right after this call is the next call, right? So we're answering calls back to back to back. The one call may be something that's high stress, high anxiety inducing, and then the next call could be somebody that has locked themselves out of their car, right? Something that's a lot less severe and stuff like that. So trying to compose yourself between those calls in a matter of seconds, quite honestly, is a lot. So and sometimes we don't have the luxury of following up and finding out what the end of the call is.
Now, and correct me if I'm wrong, this dispatcher did a wonderful job. I would love for her to be on the other end of the phone for any of my loved ones. She got all the information. She was calm, cool, collective, reassured the person as far as because she was obviously upset, and she had her daughter with her. Mm-hmm. Now, we had an episode here with retired Lieutenant Jay Ragsdale, who does our critical incident unit. Is he available to you guys just like for the police department in a situation like this where somebody might need to talk to somebody?
Yes, absolutely.
So we have peer support specialists or peer support personnel that are assigned to each of one of our teams that in the communication division, as well as some of us, including myself, are peer support specialists that help ourselves within the 911 communications division, but also within other divisions within the police department as well.
Now you say teams. Are you what is a team of a communicate? What, like, is it like different shifts or what?
It's shifts. So we just chose to use the terminology as teams to kind of build better cohesiveness between those different shifts.
And how many teams do you have right now?
4.
What's the hour? What's your work week look like? What hours of operations do you guys run? 12, 10s?
So we work 12s just like officers do. We've been doing 12s for as long as I can remember, before I even started here about 20 years ago. So we do 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Your first week, you'll be working Monday, Tuesday, off Wednesday, Thursday. Then you work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The following week, you're off Monday, Tuesday, work Wednesday, Thursday, and then you work Friday, Saturday. So you're off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So every other weekend is a three-day weekend. So it makes life planning a little bit easier as well.
Okay. Now this call was obviously stressful. Just hearing it, you know. So, if you had to guess, during the course of the day, is this most of the calls you're getting? Is this not most of the calls you're getting? And how can you separate from this call to, like you said, hey, I got locked out of my car?
You pull on open correct question last time.
Well, I mean, we get a good bit of emergency calls and non-emergency calls. We kind of triage to figure out which one is higher priority. How we distinguish the two, we just look for anything that is possibly life, that can potentially put life in danger. That's how we triage it.
Okay. So, in reference to technology, because, you know, police forces, you know, we're moving into where now we're using drones, you know, to help search for people who are missing and all stuff. What technology advances has helped a dispatcher today?
So what has helped us a lot in terms of dispatching is the different iterations of CAD, which stands for computer-aided dispatch, is the computer programming that we use for entering calls for service. So on a typical day, our dispatcher has about 6 screens in front of them that operate 3 different computers. One of them is the radio computer, which we use a foot pedal to be able to talk to. Obviously, we wear the headset to be able to talk to the police officers on that radio. And we have another computer that's our call handling equipment called Vesta. And that's where we take our emergency calls for service, our non-emergency calls for service. We're able to get calls out as well. And then we have the 4 screens that are dedicated to just the CAD computer. So the CAD computer, we're able to input the CADs for service, the calls for service into the computer. But we're also looking at different technologies, like you had mentioned. We use Rapid SOS so we can find out a more precise lat long from the cell phone. So traditionally, it would use a triangulation for the call taking equipment for Vesta. It just at first only gave you the cell phone the location of the cell phone tower, then eventually a triangulation of an approximate of where the cell phone may be. But using Rapid SOS, we're able to actually use the internal chips on the cell phone to be able to use GPS, so we can get an even better location. We also have things such as fuses, which we could look at cameras that are around downtown. So a lot of that has helped us out too, seeing things that are going on downtown in live, being able to get better information, just like you said, that critical information that the officer needs to be able to get the right person that's either responsible or the victim. Okay, this person's wearing the gray jacket with Alabama, stuff like that. We're able to see it in live and follow them in those instances where we do have a camera downtown.
So are you guys connected to the RTCC?
So we are connected to the Real-Time Crime Center. We utilize what they utilize, which is fuses. So before the RTCC went live, we saw the benefit of our communications officer being able to harness RTCC technologies to be able to better do our jobs as well. There are going to be times where the RTCC isn't working, especially as we first start, that our communications officers are able to utilize that. RTCC is I see the RTCC as an extension of 911 because a lot of the stuff that the RTCC does on a day-to-day basis is a lot what 911 dispatchers have traditionally done, doing a deep dive on the suspects, finding out the histories of those suspects, looking at the cameras, using a lot of those new technologies, being able to find out where the officers are through their body cameras, as well as the AVL, the automatic vehicle locations, to make sure that all our public safety partners are okay.
And to piggyback off that last one, as far as locating officers, you can now do it through our radios, right? We're transitioning into the new Motorola's.
So only certain people do. Dispatch does not have that capability yet. Okay. But supervisors, on a supervisor level for the N70s, we are able to see where those supervisors have their radios. We do not have that ability for the old radios that most of supervisory down have access to.
Okay. Now, Athena, I'm gonna address this one to you. What do you guys look for when you get that new dispatcher that's about to go through training? What are things that you look for and say, okay, this person is going to be good, or this person might not be great at this career?
Communication, definitely. That entails the active listening skills. It's important for you to really listen to what somebody is saying. If you are constantly asking them to repeat, it may seem like you don't care or you're not paying attention. So you have to be able to use that active listening skills. Also, pick up on what it is that they're not saying. That's very important when you're taking phone calls. There may be some background noise that could perk your ear up to something important that needs to be notated, even though they didn't say it, or maybe they couldn't say it. So communication skills for sure. Also, you have to be able to multitask, because we are doing so many things at one time. Like he said, the 6 different computer screens and the different programs and all the background. And sometimes if you're the call taker, sometimes you're dispatching as well. So even though we have call takers and dispatchers, you may have to do both at the same time.
So you really need to be like an octopus.
More or less. A few arms wouldn't hurt.
A couple arms, couple eyes, couple heads, right? Now, are you guys at capacity, or are you guys still missing?
We still need about, I believe, 8 more communications officers. So we are a higher number than we have been in the past. So we've done a really good job. Thank goodness to our recruiting unit. They've been doing a fabulous job getting us really good candidates. Be able to retain those candidates, and as communications officers has been helpful as well. Because while we don't have high turnover rates like other 911 centers do because of burnout, what we do see is people life taking our communications officers to different locations. Their spouse moves somewhere else, so they have to follow, right? They have to follow their family, or to go somewhere else, or they chose another career path because of X, Y, Z, right? But for the most of it is just we've had a lot of retention, and we've been very fortunate for that.
Now, so for our audience, if you wanted to venture down that route as a 911 dispatcher, that is on accgov.com.
So right, so accgov.com/jobs, but you could also find out a lot more about it on accpdcareers.com. You should be able to find a link to be able to go to the application process as well.
Now, and I'm showing my age here, 22 years ago when I started, right, relationship between communication officers and road officers was kind of iffy, right? You always got now she's on the radio, right? Now, when I first started, we did not have the luxury of having the dispatchers ride with us and get to meet with us. How important do you think that is now, building the relationship between both the dispatcher and the officer?
It's very important. We're all on the same team here, right? It's important to put that voice behind, put the face behind the voice. You have to get to know who these people are. It also makes it a little bit more personal too, it builds that camaraderie.
I think when we first started 20 plus years ago, the difficulty in that was that we all worked different shifts and we worked with different officers, right? Y'all were working 8 hours time, and so there was a lot of overlap within the other shifts, so it was very difficult to be able to get to know everybody else that was working because there was just a lot of people to be able to know. So, but now these 12-hour shifts, we're working 12 hours with basically the same shift over and over again. So it gets to be makes it a lot easier to get to know each other on and off the field, basically, working with each other. We have officers that are coming by a lot more often and getting to know the dispatchers. And now that we're sending the dispatcher, we've been sending dispatchers out, but they're getting to know each other a lot better. And able to find out firsthand what information is needed.
Now we just showed our age, Kevin. So give me a little background on when you started. What's your position now? Because you're not obviously, now you're sitting on top of the throne now a little bit. Okay, from when we first started in the trenches. Give me a little bit background on you. How long you been here? What's your current position? And what did you start at?
So I started, like I said, about 20 years ago. I came in to dispatch with an EMT background, but my licensure didn't transfer from the state that I moved in from. So I decided to dispatch. Well, I'll go back into being an EMS, and because that's where my heart was. My heart has always been in public service, right? So EMS, I really like going out there helping people. Where I was working, there was a very customer-centric for the patient, or patient-centric patient care. Here was a little bit different. The atmosphere wasn't as great. I didn't like it as much when I did finally get my EMT certification, so I decided to continue my career here. I kept on asking for more responsibilities, learning about more and different aspects of 911. And about 3 years ago now, a little bit less, I became interim director of the 911 over the 911 services here, or as we call it, a 911 administrator, because the director is actually of the department would be Chief Salters. So, but yeah, it's been a crazy ride. Did not anticipate that when I started 20 years ago that I'd be in this position.
Now, I met Athena one night. I was falling asleep. We were on midnights. I was the sergeant, I believe, and I was having a hard time staying awake. And I said, I'm gonna go into the 911 center. I'm glad I did, because Athena was there, and I think I talked her ear off. But we had I was able to get some coffee and wake back up. So Athena, how long have you been here?
It'll be 11 years in May. It's been nice. I started off as a communications officer. Before here, I was a daycare teacher. I didn't have any law enforcement background. My father, he was in law enforcement, but that's the extent of the background. So coming here brand new, not really understanding, what the job really meant. And then learning that, it was rewarding. It was very rewarding just to be able to help somebody. But then I moved up in the ranks and went from a communications officer to a supervisor, which at my initial interview, I said I was going to do it. I said 5 years, but it took a little bit longer. But I did it. And just recently, June of last year, I was promoted to 911 coordinator. Awesome. Training coordinator, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm glad both of you stayed. You definitely hold a special part of my heart. Now, you said you used the word rewarding. This job, your job, is high stress all the time. Especially in your case, we officers know how the call ended. You guys don't. And having that in mind, what's so rewarding about your job?
Helping people. I know it sounds cliche, but it really is rewarding that I'm able to help somebody, know that I made a difference in someone's life. The emergency for them lasts for however long it lasts, but for us, that experience is as long as the phone call is. So keeping in mind that once you hang up and you're moving on to the next one, it's a different emergency. But if you can make that difference in helping them, that's everything to me.
Now, Kevin, and I ask all my officers this, and I'm gonna ask you. 20 plus years we've been in this department, right? We always catch each other in the hallway. If you bumped into day one Kevin, what would your advice to him be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Keep an open mind. And learn as much as you can. Because, I've always liked to learn. I've always gone back to school, did all these trainings to become a communication officer, and continuing credit in CEUs as well. But yeah, just keep an open mind and just keep on going. I don't know. That's a really tough one, because 20 years ago, I like I said, this was not my career path. My career path was being back to the EMT, being a paramedic, and kind of running an EMT squad from there, right? That completely changed when, like I said, I just didn't fall in love with the culture that they had here. Not knocking our partners or anything like that. It just wasn't for me, right? our culture that we have built here in ACC and continue to build and grow and love is something that I really liked. So another thing too, I would say, is it gets better. Because when we started about 20 years ago, things were a little bit different. There were some of our dispatchers were a little more sour. So it just gets better.
And I agree. We also had sour officers. You get the salty dog on third shift. It happens. Now, and a lot of people, and I feel like dispatchers don't get enough credit because people don't understand that it starts with you, right? When you call 911, you guys are the ones getting the information, getting the calls. Hell, sometimes you guys filter a lot of unnecessary calls for us. The barking dog that we don't need to go to, the broken down car that, we don't need to go to. So really, it all starts for you. And I'm glad now that you get more recognition for the job you do, because it is it's very, very difficult. And in my opinion, the reward is not enough, right? You don't get enough praise, and I think you should. Where do you see our dispatchers going in the future? What changes would you like to see?
I guess on a more overall level, because I think we've already done this in a more local level and the state level, I believe. First responder status for our communications officer and dispatchers, right? On a local level, we've already done that. We've recognized we're on call. We have to come in. We're we're essential employees. We're essential personnel, so we have to come in any kind of adverse condition. Be it severe weather, ice, thunderstorms, hurricanes, or even the following political unrest. We kind of get caught up under that umbrella too, but we have to come in and perform. Some of us are on call for our tactical dispatch team as well. So it's just knowing that our profession gets a lot more specialized too. So I'd like to be able to see mental health clinicians kind of either come into the 911 center or maybe get our folks more of that information as well, so they know how to help respond to those kinds of calls a lot better, instead of just kind of triaging it and letting the officers go. If we can kind of facilitate a little bit more of that, that'd be great. And I think that's just for us as a profession, how to handle some of those mental health callers a little bit better. And
making sure the public is more educated on what 911 is used for.
When you say now what 911 is used for, give me a little bit more on that. Preach. Tell me what you need right now.
I know when someone is calling in, they believe that their situation is an emergency, and I understand that. But educating them and understanding what exactly an emergency is. So the fact that your toilet is overflowing and you can't figure out how to turn it off, I wouldn't consider that an emergency for 911. It's nothing where someone's life is in danger or some type of situation where it needs immediate police presence or first responder, presence. For something like that, they should know that, okay, well, maybe this is a water problem. I need to call the water department instead. It's important to know that anything that is, again, life endangerment or in progress, then yes, definitely call 911 for. Something else like, let's say a fraud that is occurring, it could be handled through non-emergency services. Non-emergency, or just occurred, right?
No,
already occurred. It can be handled through the non-emergency lines.
Right, and that number is on our website, the non-emergency number. So if you need to contact that, that is the best way to contact the non-emergency number. Athena, Kevin, thank you for spending time with us and giving us an insight into the 911 dispatchers. And that's today's episode of Classic City Blue.